Hey everybody, thank you for tuning back in. I got a message on Instagram and it had to do with motivation. So, A, I love the content. I don't interact with your shit too much, but I see it. How do you pump out music like you do? I have no motivation. When I force myself to sit down and just start something, my head is just all over the place. Started around when you did, but I only got a quarter of the beats you got. Any tips or anything? Motivation is hard because motivation is going to vary between people. I believe that everybody can be trained to become more motivated. And there are little things that you can do to increase your level of motivation. A big problem with creators of anything, when you want to do something, when your mind knows that it wants something done, it knows that it wants a task to be completed because that task is going towards like a greater good, but that's still not like motivation enough for you. I know that if I stop producing music, I know that if I disappear off of YouTube and off of social media, I'm just gonna be forgotten and my end goal will not be met. To me, that's what motivates me to continue to do this. I don't always feel like doing it. There's been plenty of times where the last thing that I want to do that day is sit down and start beat making, but I do it every single day, regardless of whether I want to or not. It's like a 9 to 5. Who the hell wants to go to that? But every single day you force yourself to get up and go. Somehow, you do it. And this is no different. But I see that a lot of creators, they'll say something like, well, I need to be inspired. And if I'm not motivated, it means that I'm not inspired. Why would you need to be inspired to do something that you actually enjoy, yet you don't need to be inspired to go work at the gas station or wherever you work, even if so you're a lawyer. If you're not inspired, inspiration and motivation are two totally separate things. The motivation is what makes you sit down at the computer or whatever you're using to compose your beat with. And inspiration is kind of what kicks in later. They're not mutually exclusive because I may have inspiration but no motivation to go sit down at the computer and actually do what I have in my head. Or I could have a shit ton of motivation and I'm just, nothing's coming out of me. I've recently gotten into sync licensing and I've been, looking into different sounds that I'm hearing in ads and different sounds that I'm hearing in movies and kind of the feelings, what documentaries use as far as like music and things like that. And one thing that I found is sometimes I'm throwing together a beat and it is not working. Like nobody could be on this beat. It's either too busy or it just doesn't make sense. Like there's no structure at all. And I know that it's not gonna sell. And so I throw them into a pile and I know every producer, it's like a joke that every producer has like the shit pile of beats, like it's like a couple hundred beats that like they're never gonna do anything with. But what I do is I rework mine for specific things. Like I'll have like a documentary folder, I'll have a movie folder, I'll have a, YouTube video folder, and these folders are separated by where I think that beat would kind of fit if I reworked it. So you don't necessarily need inspiration, you just need to start somewhere. Because in my case, and I know that not everybody's the same, but the inspiration kicks in. When it comes to motivation, to me, that's the easy part. Just do it. You do a million things a day that you don't want to do, yet you force yourself to do them. If you're anything like me, if I don't do music projects, if I'm not doing that kind of stuff with my brain, I really do start to decline mentally a lot. I love this. I enjoy it. And it's become a huge part of my life. When you're lacking in motivation, think about the end goal. Are you somebody that loves music and right now you're working a job that has nothing to do with music? Maybe you like the job, maybe you don't like the job, but regardless, you want music to be your career. Let that motivate you. Also, Don't overwhelm yourself. If you give yourself unrealistic expectations for what you expect to get done in a day, like, well, I'm going to do music for 1 hour, and then I'm going to answer my social media messages for 1 hour, and then I'm going to go for a jog for 1 hour. Give yourself realistic expectations. If the most important part of tomorrow is that you want to be sure that you sit down and you start making a beat, then say, I'm going to sit down tomorrow and devote 10 minutes to a beat. Motivated or not, I'm going to sit down and start working on a beat for 10 minutes. If you truly are still not feeling what you're doing at the end of 10 minutes, then stop. Because that means there's just probably something else going on in your head that's not going to allow you to finish what you're trying to do. But I bet I would put money on the fact that you're going to be doing that beat for a lot longer than 10 minutes, because you're already in the seat, you've already started, you're probably already working with a couple ideas, and you're not going to want to stop. Another good way to keep motivation for me, and I don't know if this will work for anybody else, but listen to something that you made a long time ago. Beat making is like weight loss. Have you ever you'll say you see your wife or your husband every single day, and they could be gaining weight or losing it. You're probably not really going to notice, but say that your husband or wife went to Thailand for a year. That same amount of weight, when you see them again, because you haven't seen them for a while, you're going to notice. You're going to notice much more about their appearance than you would if you saw them every day. Beats are the same way. Honestly, this goes for rappers and singers or whoever too, because your vocals are an instrument, and it's an instrument that you can build. So listen to something that you made, because sometimes the lack of motivation is due to the fact that you just don't feel like anything that you make sounds all that great. When you are making a beat and you're sitting there, you're listening to it over and over and over. Like, say you're looping this 5 seconds, and you're looping it 1,000 freaking times because you heard a pop somewhere, something, right? And you're looping this, or you're just trying to balance the sound. You're just not going to hear your own music the way that other people hear it. In the end, they're only going to hear the end result. You have an emotional connection to the process of making that beat. You're going to be listening for every little thing. It's just like the way that we look at our own faces. When I look in the mirror, I'm like, oh my God, a new pimple right there. I got another zit right there. I have another gray hair. Oh, and I'm starting to get this wrinkle in my forehead, and nothing that I can do can get rid of it. And all this shit that other people, they are not looking at my face that closely. Are they gonna notice the broad issues? Yeah. Are they gonna care? Probably not. Unless your beat is just so fucked that it's unlistenable, there's gonna be somebody that's like, I like that. I might use that. So listen to something older. Look at the progress that you've made. I think the very last tip that I have for you is to take yourself out of your own environment. Go do something else. You'd be so surprised at the different stimuli that's outside of your studio. Just the things that you hear outside. The music, we get these samples of music that we normally wouldn't listen to. Think about if you're at the grocery store and somebody driving by you with their music blaring, or elevators. Sometimes I'm in here so much, like these four walls, that can be a motivation killer in itself. Just try to put yourself somewhere else, and that might give you the motivation that you need. And in closing, just remember, inspiration and motivation are not mutually exclusive. One can actually kick off the other. So just force yourself to do it, and things will come to you. Hopefully this has helped some of you. To the person that sent the message, hopefully this answers your question. And these are some of the things that I've done to keep myself going and to produce the quantity of music that I do. If you guys like the content, then subscribe. Be safe.